must not operate any recording device, audio or visual, without obtaining consent from the Chief Executive Officer at least 3 days prior to the council meeting, and can display placards or posters provided they're not offensive, do not obstruct the entrances and exits to the chamber or impede any view or person. The Chair can direct any member of the public to stop interjecting or acting offensively. If that behaviour continues, the Chair can ask an authorised officer or a member of Victoria Police to remove members of the public from the chamber. Thank you.
Item 1, meeting opening. 1.1, opening. I'd like to invite everybody to the Ordinary Council meeting, Monday the 23rd of June 2025. Item 1.2, attendance. Are there any apologies, Ms Weatherill?
Yes, Mr Mayor, we have an apology this evening from Councillor Lloyd Truong.
Thank you, Ms Weatherill. Before we move on to, I'll do the acknowledgement first. 1.3, acknowledgement of traditional custodians of land. Those who wish to stand for the acknowledgement of country are welcome to do so. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and pay respect to their elders, past and present. We recognise and respect their continuing connections to climate, culture, country and waters. We also pay our respect and acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their elders present here today in acknowledging their journey. Before I move on to the prayer, I'd just like to make a statement. We have all been disheartened by the escalating conflict in the Middle East. The recent airstrikes across the region have resulted in hundreds of deaths. Residents in our greater Dandenong community and officers in council have close connections overseas, and many have family and friends living in areas directly impacted by the conflicts. This is a time of high anxiety and stress for them. Particularly, internet and telecommunications have been badly impacted. Our thoughts and our prayers are with those who are worried for their family and friends. We all hope for a speedy resolution and no further escalation. Thank you. I'll move on to item 4, 1.4, of offering of prayer, reflection or affirmation. As part of Council's commitment to recognising the cultural and spiritual diversity of our community, the prayer, reflection or affirmation this evening was offered by Anita Devine, a member of the Greater Dandenong Interfaith Network, which will be read out by Councillor Formoso.
Creator God, open our ears, our whole being, that we may become a listening presence to each other and enjoy the gift of our dialogue and conversation. Give us the generosity to listen with openness, the wisdom to understand what is heard, the strength to be changed by what is shared, the listening that never judges, and humility to learn from others. Increase in us the peace to forgive and be forgiven, the grace to honour both loss and gift, the acceptance that allows failure to be shared, the prudence that treasures silence after word. Ground in us the freedom that allows mystery, the joy to celebrate new things found, the readiness for laughter when it rises, the reverence to listen, humble love, the awe to hear you speaking. Thank you. Amen.
Item 1.5, confirmation of minutes of previous meetings. Meeting of Council held on the 10th of June 2025.
Move, Councillor Tan.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Tan.
Happy to second
by
that,
Councillor
Mayor.
Yim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. Item 1.6, disclosures of interest. Ms Weatherill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have a conflict of interest disclosure from yourself, Councillor Jim Mametti. It concerns agenda item 4.2.1, which is the adoption of the council plan, budget and key strategic planning documents. Recommendation 1. It's an indirect material conflict of interest of a pecuniary nature, as he is a director of a company that has a stall at the Dandenong Market.
Thank you, Ms Weatherill. Item 1.7, adoption of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting of minutes. The Audit and Risk Committee held on the meeting on 5th of June 2025, and the minutes of this meeting are summarised in the following table and are presented to Council for adoption. Moved by Councillor Garrard.
Happy to second that.
By Councillor Formosa. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. 2. Officers' Reports, Part 1, 2.1, Documents for Sealing, 2.1.1, Documents for Sealing.
Moved by
Moved
Councillor
by Deputy Mayor Tan, second by Councillor Yim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. Deputy Mayor Tan. Deputy Mayor Tan.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to congratulate Ms. Sri Sami. She's the president of the Friends of Refugee for many years. Just want to congratulate the group as well, their committees for doing their great jobs. It's sad to see that the Friend of Refugee now it's not going to go ahead anymore. So so sad for them for all the great work they did for the last couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tan. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to acknowledge the significant work over a number of years by Shri, and I had the privilege of spending a lot of time with her, and she was tireless in her dedication to helping refugees. She worked night and day. In fact, she worked herself to a point where she became unwell. So I want to thank her on behalf of the City of Greater Dandenong and acknowledge the tremendous impact her work has had on our community.
Thank you, Councillor Garrett. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I first met Sri Sami in the 2012 election, which she ran for council then, Mayor, and she didn't get elected. But I mean, that's I think like her whole intention with everything that she did was to represent and help those in dire need. And she gathered people around her of like mind, and as other councillors have mentioned, was a force unto herself that could really inspire those around her. And I mean, the outcomes that she got, the support across that community of people in dire need, just should never be forgotten there. So, as Councillor Garrard said, she was so dedicated that eventually, as any human would, you can tend to become a bit tired, understandably. So if there's anyone that deserves a rest, she does. And personally, I think there's nobody in this municipality who is deserved more of recognition and respect for her attitude and the actual outcomes that she did for people of the City of Greater Dandenong. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. We'll move on to the next item, councillors. 2.2, petitions and joint letters. 2.2.1, petitions and joint letters. Moved by Councillor Garrett, second by Deputy Mayor Tan. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. Item 2.3, statutory planning applications. 2.3.1, town planning application number 208214, Princess Highway, Dandenong, planning application number PLN 22/0507.
Mayor.
Moved by Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor
I'll
O'Reilly.
second that.
Second by Councillor Formosa. Are there any questions? Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. Given that the Australian carbon credit system has been largely exposed as a fraud, even by Professor Andrew McIntosh, who headed up the development and the integrity of our carbon system, why is the council recommending that the applicant purchase carbon credits in exchange for the removal of 13 native trees. And in addition, under condition 15, there is no mandated, where the mandated offsets are cited, there is no detail provided regarding the quantity, type, location or monitoring of these offsets. So in light of the serious credibility issues relating to the National Offset Scheme, how does Council justify relying on such mechanisms to meet its biodiversity obligation?
Mr Stewart.
Through you, Mayor. These are all standard conditions that all councils and even the department put on to do with offset of native vegetation. Particularly condition 15 looks at the options about where, so the region. You'll notice that 15.3 says one large tree, so it actually does nominate how they can offset it. But also further down, they have to provide evidence of that to us as part of the planning application. So all of the details are there in the conditions. There's over 46 conditions on this permit that relate to multiple different items, including tree management and the native vegetation that's proposed to be removed.
Thank you, Mr Stewart. Any further questions? Councillor Garrett?
Thank you. I would like to discuss that further. I'm not sure that I'd be interested to know how the council is judging the effectiveness of the particular offsets chosen. But my next question regarding the trees that were provided permits for, the 5 trees of the 43 trees being removed, what criteria was used by the council to provide permits for the removal of these trees?
Mr Stewart?
Through you, Mayor. The 5 trees that were approved through the local law process, they have to provide an arborist report as part of that, demonstrating the health, structure, longevity of the tree. And so attached in the report on page 57 and 58 is an arborist report which demonstrates all of the trees. Those 5 trees were noted in there. So when they're assessing from a local law's point of view, part of the parameters that they look at is the health, the longevity of the tree. And also we have our arborist that reviews that and reviews the trees. So through that process, that's how the 5 trees got removed. You'll also note as part of the report, a lot of the other trees, pretty much 99% of them are actually of low retention value and a lot of them are weed species. So there's only 3 in there that actually have a moderate to high retention value. 2 of those trees, being tree 45 and 44, are being retained on the site.
Thank you, Mr Stewart. Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. My last question, just regarding the inclusion in the report of a likely unsuccessful VCAT application. My question is it appropriate and consistent with good governance that this is included in the reports, because it is in fact holding a gun to our head. As councillors, we have the legal right to refuse applications under the Planning and Environmental Act, and therefore is it appropriate that we are that this item is included in the planning applications, which appears to act as a deterrent for us to push back on any planning application?
Mr Stewart?
Through you, Mayor. It's an advisory figure. It's not meant to mean that this is a way of deterring you, but it's a way to sort of give you a bit of information that if this was to be refused, what sort of costs are we looking at? What sort of community funds would have to be spent defending this at VCAT? It is an estimate. It can be up and down depending on what the applicant decides to provide as part of an appeal, but it is an advisory figure.
Thank you, Mr Stewart. No further questions. Thank you, Councillor Garrett. Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. Okay. Councillor Garrett abstained from the vote, and Councillor Doe also abstained as well. Thank you very much.
Mayor.
Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I think I'd just like to acknowledge, Mayor, that there was opposition to this application, and myself and I'm sure other councillors read the emails and text messages from people that had particular objection regarding the removal of trees. But looking at the overall application, 42 of the trees were of low retention value. Only 1 tree being removed had moderate retention value. We're also seeing low quality trees being replaced as part of the application with mature indigenous trees that will reach 8 metres in height, my understanding, and assist this council in terms of its canopy cover, which our record is, I think, as you have remarked, Mayor, our record on canopy cover is quite, we're really catching up in that it's gone from 9% to 14% in 5 years. So there's still some way to go with canopy cover, but I think on balance with this application, Council is supporting business activation, protecting the key trees, replacing trees with new trees, and overall sets a course and shows that this council sort of weighs up things on the evidence and makes balanced decisions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Councillors, we'll move on to the next item, 2.3.2, Planning Delegated Decisions issued May 2025. Moved by
Happy to
Councillor
move.
Milkovich, seconded
Second,
by
Mr.
Deputy Mayor Tan. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. Item 3, public question time. Ms Weatherill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And our first question this evening is from Philip Lamaro of Dandenong, and I believe they are here tonight.
Good evening and welcome, Philip.
Okay. Both the Victorian Pride Centre and the Victorian LGBT Commissioner have both confirmed that a rainbow sticker on an organisation's entrance has no correlation with its training or accreditation, as it is for advocacy purposes only. Naming Coles, Woolworths, ANZ, Bonds, Cotton On, Bunnings, Chemist Warehouse as just a few examples of organisations that have a rainbow sticker for advocacy purposes only at its entrance. Can Council please explain why they continue to not install these stickers on Council facilities after both the Victorian Pride Centre and the Victorian LGBT Commissioner have advised they are for advocacy purposes only?
Mr Jari.
Thank you, Philip, for your question. So what we have to clarify here is that the Rainbow Tick is a formal nationally recognized system with defined standards and an accreditation process. Rainbow stickers that you refer to now offers a less reliable indication of the organization's commitment to LGBTIQ plus inclusion. Now we advise that by having the LGBTIQA plus advisory committee in place, this matter will be referred to the August scheduled meeting, and the advisory committee can recommend to the council in relation to the rainbow sticker installations. That's our recommendation, to go back to the advisory committee, and they recommend to councils if they want to go to the stickers, which is different from the rainbow tick that we discussed in terms of the processes. That needs a formal process that needs to be in place.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Mr Jari. Philip.
So just for clarification, 18 months ago you said we're going to put the stickers on, and you said we couldn't because it wasn't certified. And now you're saying, well, you don't need certification, but now you're waiting for the committee to approve it. Is that correct?
Mr Jari.
Through you, Mayor. Whenever was discussed here, it was about the rainbow tick, which was part of the process, the stickers. And I look at I think the other question that you are referring to about the 18 months ago in December, which the officers has advised. It's, I think, the 5th questions that the advice, I'm happy to answer that at the time, that the advice from the council officers was that they will look at that. So with the stickers, we can back to the advisory committee can recommend it to the council, and council can consider that the rainbow stickers installation, not the tick.
Thank you, Mr Jari. Philip.
At the last council meeting, the Dandenong Council advised its staff's level of training with the LGBT community is not at a high level in dealing with the LGBT community, which they have been well aware of since December 2023. Since knowing this for over 18 months, what specific internal training has Council undertaken with its staff in this time to ensure it gives its LGBT community an inclusive and high service?
Mr. Jari?
Through you, Mayor. Again, similar what I explained, Council had advised previously to get the Rainbow Tick accreditation. It involves a higher level of specific training and assessment across organization, and this is a requirement by one or two available accrediting bodies. But Council does conduct general training sessions for staff where LGBTIQA plus matters also are part of the training as the broader topics under discussion, externally facilitated face-to-face induction session, which are related to the rights and responsibility in the workplace, and online corporate training on appropriate workplace behavior. So it means that we already have training in place for the inclusion, including LGBTIQ plus community. But as mentioned before, if we want to get the Rainbow Tick accreditation to be used, we need a specific training which required more higher cost and the timing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr.
So,
Jari.
just to clarify, last week you said you couldn't put speakers up. There was no high. The council didn't have high training in its facilities. Now you're saying that you have had high training facilities over the 18 months.
Mr. Jari?
Through you, Mayor. Philip, our trainings are not, we don't have one training just for the LGBTIQ plus matters. We have the training as part of our inclusion corporate trainings, which happen in the workplace as part of our inclusion and rights and responsibilities. But for specific, the Rainbow Tick, they required specific training, which previously we alluded to that in our responses. Now, I hope it is clear that the Rainbow Stickers doesn't need that specific trainings that the accreditation is, because it's not part of the accreditation. And if the advisory committee wish, they can advise to council to consider the stickers.
Thank you, Mr. Jari. Philip?
We went around, but we got to the right end. Next question. Hammond Road in Dandenong is a high-density residential area with many accidents occurring regularly. It is so unsafe that Council has converted the footpath into a bike line based on how dangerous and how unsafe this road is. A month ago, Council also refused to lower the speed limit from 60 to 50 on this dangerous road. And 6 months ago, Council advised they could not install speed bumps or raised safety platforms on Hammond Road due to its volume of traffic. However, this year, Labor has announced 2 raised safety platforms on Stade Road at Foster Street and Cole Street, which has a much higher traffic volume than Hammond Road. As clearly Council's previous statement of refusal based on traffic volume is not applicable now, will Council finally look at installing safety platforms on Hammond Road as they have recently installed on Brady Road?
Mr. Manivasigasav?
Through you, Mayor. Thank you for the question, Philip. Council officers regularly monitor the traffic conditions on Hammond Road. At this time, due to the lower number of and type of accidents occurring on Hammond Road, it is not eligible for funding under the Federal Black Spot Program or any other streams of funding for the road safety infrastructure. Hammond Road is also currently the detour route for heavy vehicles, avoiding the low bridge on Cheltenham Road. Raised platforms, such as the Brady Road platforms, are not used on the routes with this level of heavy vehicle traffic. We anticipate that the traffic on Hammond Road will alter significantly as a result of the upcoming Webster Street level crossing removal, and we will review conditions following that project to determine whether further action is suitable. Thanks.
So just for
Thank
clarification,
you, Mr. Manivasigasav.
just for clarification, you're saying that Hammond Road, because it has trucks, we can't put it on, but Stone Road that has trucks, we can't put it on. Is that what you're clarifying?
Mr. Manivasigasav?
It's not just one thing. Truck is one of them, and also number of accidents, and also number of traffic. It's number of factors involved. It's just not one factor impact on the traffic treatment.
Thank you. Thank you, Philip. Ms. Weatherall?
Thank you. Our next question is from Nicole Smith of Keysborough. who doesn't wish to speak this evening. And the question from Nicole concerns rainbow stickers. At the last meeting, Council advised to have a rainbow sticker on a commercial building in Greater Dandenong. You're required to be certified. My local hairdresser in Keysborough has a rainbow sticker on their business door, and I know they just put it up without doing anything. As they are not certified, are they required to remove it?
Ms. Sajari.
To you, Mayor. Thank you, Nicole, for the question. As I explained in the previous answer, this matter will be referred to the August schedule LGBTIQA plus advisory committee for their recommendation to the council in relation to the rainbow sticker installation. Again, as mentioned, if they have the rainbow stickers, they didn't need to go through the whole process of accreditation and the training. It's different from rainbow tick.
Thank you, Ms. Sajari. Ms. Wetherill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And our last question this evening is from Sean of St Kilda, and it concerns rainbow stickers. Noting that on the 7th of December 2023, Council advised a local resident they could put rainbow stickers on all council hubs and libraries, and noting that some 18 months later, Council still has not put the rainbow stickers up, can Council please clearly explain when they will be putting the rainbow stickers promised on all council libraries and hubs, and what steps will be undertaken to do this?
Ms. Sajari.
To you, Mayor. Thank you, Sean, for the question. We look at the responses on 7th of December 2023. At that time, Council stated that no official decision has been made by Council on this matter, though consideration will be given to this initiative. But since then, now we have the LGBTIQ Advisory Committee. We recommend that the committee, in their meeting scheduled in August, look at the issue and they can recommend to the council for consideration of the rainbow stickers on our assets. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sajari. Ms. Wetherill. Thank you. Item 4, Officers' Reports, Part 2, 4.1. Procurement, 4.1.1, 2706/0848 Library Collections, Furniture Equipment and Associated Requirements Contract.
Councillor O'Reilly.
Moved by Councillor O'Reilly.
Seconded.
Happy to second him.
Second by Councillor Dann. Are there any questions?
Just a quick question, Mayor.
Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify, does collections include reading material books as well? And also, if that's the case, what is the provision we're making for our particular needs regarding the languages, 156 languages? How is that being accommodated in this contract?
Ms. Gillies.
Through you, Mayor, thanks for your question, Councillor Garrard. As is outlined in the report, there are 13 categories that providers needed to respond to as part of the procurement process. It does include written materials, and one of the specific criteria was around printed material in community languages. So there's a number of providers that have responded, and those that actually have been assessed as highest standing in that regard are the ones that have been put forward for the panel.
Thank you, Ms. Gillies. Deputy Mayor Tan.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify, how many suppliers or contractors are we awarding?
Ms. Gillies.
Through you, Mayor, thank you for your question. So there's a number of suppliers that supply to each one of the 13 categories listed in the report. It's a panel through Procurement Australia, so depending on the specific thing that we're looking to purchase at any one point in time, we would go to the supplier through Procurement Australia that has been appointed to this panel.
Thank you, Ms. Gillies. Is there any further questions, Councillor? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. Item 4.2, Finance and Budget. 4.2.1, Adoption of Council Plan Budget Key Strategy Planning Documents. I've got a conflict of interest in Officer Recommendation 1. I have an indirect material conflict of interest of procurement nature, S128. I further declare that the nature of my interest is described as follows. I'm a director of a company that has a stall at Dandenong Market. So I have an interest. I'll call Deputy Mayor Tan to take the chair.
Okay, councillors. Item 4.2.1, adoption of council plan, budget and key strategic planning documents. Officer recommendation 1, that council approves in advance of adoption of the budget 2025-26 the following expenditure in relation to Dandenong Market Pty Ltd. Dandenong Market structural refrigeration $500,000 and Dandenong Market fire service $100,000. Is there a mover to this recommendation?
Happy to second.
Councillor Garrett? Yeah, the mover.
Yep.
Is there a mover?
Happy to move, Councillor O'Reilly.
You're moving it?
That's fine.
A mover and a second.
Moved by Councillor Garrett and seconded by Councillor John O'Reilly. Is there any question? Is there any opposition? Question? Councillor Dole?
I would like to move an amendment. Do you say the full amendment?
No,
they already moved the motion.
It's just recommendation 1.
So, any objection? No? There's no objection. This motion is carried. Councillor Garrett?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wish to acknowledge how important this funding is for the market. As a representative and the market, knowing that the fire services issue is going to be resolved and that the $500,000 is going to significantly improve the market and the offerings that the market will provide. And so I'm very pleased to see that this item has.
Thank you. So now we're going to call the Mayor Jeevamidi to come back.
Item 4.2, Finance and Budget. 4.2.1, Adoption of Council Plan, Budget and Key Strategic Planning Documents. Officer recommendation 2. Ms Featherer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Officers are pleased to recommend this motion for the adoption of a suite of 6 key strategic documents. These documents are the product of extensive work by officers and members of our community with collaborative input from councillors. Our council plan sets the agenda for the next 4 years. It was a year-long piece of work involving scores of community engagement activities. Well over 3,000 community members and businesses had input and made suggestions about what council should focus on for the next 4 years. All of these inputs were synthesised into strong themes. We sent out 8,000 letters to residents asking for people interested in forming a deliberative panel to make a recommendation to council. We received 125 expressions of interest, and from this 40 community members were selected to be on the panel. These 40 members were from different suburbs of different ages, cultural backgrounds, genders, along with a number of business owners and operators. They generously gave their time over 4 days, hearing about the inputs from the wider community and learning about the services council provides and what we must do under the Local Government Act. They listened to each other and contributed thoughtful, considered ideas about how we prioritise resources for the benefit of the City of Greater Dandenong. They arrived at a unanimously supported recommendation to Council. This Council plan draws heavily on the report. It responds to community concerns and priorities. This Council plan, the annual plan for 25-26 financial year and the budget 25-26 set out what we will deliver. The plans are focused on outcomes rather than activities, and this time we set out the things Council will deliver as well as where we will partner with others or advocate to others to get things done. The Council plan addresses key community concerns around public safety, amenity of public spaces, homelessness and housing affordability, and the environment and sustainability. Our long-term financial plan, revenue and rating plan and asset plan are responsible measured plans for how we're going to deliver on the Council plan and annual plans. These documents set us up for financial sustainability in a context of rising costs and rate capping environment. I'd like to finish by playing a short video made about the deliberative panel that reported to us on community goals for the council plan. We offer our sincerest thanks to the community members who participated for their time and commitment.
So today we did a lot of get to know other people, their lives, and like seeing the diversity and the change in the community. It makes me really glad.
It's a good opportunity to really see where maybe someone who's very different from me, where they're coming from. What are they thinking about? How do I open up my thinking and shift it a little bit so that I can understand maybe where they're coming from?
It is very interesting to hear and learn of their opinion and at the same time providing my opinion, which when put together would definitely make good suggestions to the council.
Today I got to know more about the council and what they does, what their future plan, how much they're spending for the budgeting. Council is doing a good job and we can expect more from council.
Mother of 3, I've been a resident of Dandenong for 40-something years. So I wanted to be part of any input, have my say. And being able to be a representative from my demographic, from my community, to be involved and give a voice to that is exciting to be able to be a part of that.
Thank you for that, Ms Wetherill. I also would like to speak briefly to this item before I call for a mover. We've heard from and met members of the deliberative panel who made recommendations about the council plan, and I applaud their thoroughness and thoughtful contributions. I want to emphasise the importance of these documents tonight. The council plan sets up for this council term. It has strategic themes that focus on the difference we want to make for this community, and under these, the services, programs and facilities we deliver to achieve these outcomes. And the 25-26 budget sets out relevant funds. For example, this year, under a socially connected, safe and healthy city, we have committed $1.83 million for CCTV, as well as funds for female-friendly facilities and sporting reserves, and upgrades to maternal child health facilities. We will also be opening the Community Hub in Keysborough later this year. Under a green city committed to a sustainable future, we've got funds for water mains and drainage renewal, and over $200,000 for infrastructure, landscaping and furniture across Doris Reserve and View Road reserves. This year will also see the new sustainability strategy and waste strategy brought to Council for consideration to maintain our commitment to action on the environment and response to climate change. Under a city of vibrant and accessible centres and places, we have an unprecedented investment in the health and well-being of our community. There's $65 million in the 2025-26 towards our new Dandenong Wellbeing Centre to replace the ageing Oasis. Works have commenced on the site and we're looking forward to the facility opening in 2027. It will have 2 warm water pools, a 50-metre pool, spa, sauna, steam room, beautiful spaces for groups, fitnesses, a high-quality gym and spaces for community connection and allied health. It will be the high-quality, beautiful facility that this community deserves. We have $9.5 million in road resurfacing and rehabilitation alongside the Black Spot and other road programs. We have a further $6.7 million for the final stage of the Perry Road upgrade. I commend officers for their work behind these documents. I am particularly proud that we have a set of plans that provide for a long-term financial sustainability while also delivering quality services and investing in excellent facilities and assets for the future. Could I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor O'Reilly.
Happy to second that, Mayor.
Second by Councillor Formoso.
Mayor, I'd like to point out a procedural issue. A councillor made it plain before that she was going to put up an amendment, and that seems to have been ignored.
That's fine. We can still hear the amendment, Councillor Garrett. So I've got a mover, Councillor O'Reilly, a seconder of Councillor Formoso. Do we have any questions? Question, Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. Given that the funding previously allocated to the Robert Booth Reserve has been redistributed to other areas, can the Council confirm, does this mean the master plan will not proceed of the Robert Booth Reserve? And importantly, does it indicate that the Dandenong Little Athletics Club will have certainty of use going forward?
Ms Gillies.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you for your question, Councillor Garrard. What it says is that we need to do some further works in terms of understanding particularly the drainage and other issues at that site. Off the back of that investigation being done, a further report would come to Council around next steps in terms of either further work that needs to be done or a master plan or whatever that looks like. So certainly that hasn't been decided, but we want to better understand the issues with the actual reserve first. In terms of the Little Athletics Club, as we've communicated several times, we've absolutely, with modified activities, they're absolutely able to continue operating as they are in accordance with those modified activities.
Thank you, Ms Gillies. Any further questions? Any further questions, councillors? Councillor Doe?
Mayor, I'd like to move an amendment.
Do you want to read your amendment, Councillor Doe?
Yep. I propose that the following changes be made to the annual plan 2025 to 2026. Under page 178 of the agenda, under strategic objective 4, a green city committed to a sustainable future, and under priority 1, enhance our tree canopy cover and urban forest and promote participation in protecting biodiversity values. Add action 1.5, continue to protect and enhance the green wedge by implementing the Greater Dandenong Green Wedge Management Plan. Under page 179 of the agenda, under strategic objective 4, a green city committed to a sustainable future, and under priority 4, transition to a resilient net zero carbon emission city prepared for the social, environmental and health impacts of climate change, and finalise the Greater Dandenong Climate Change Mobilisation and Engagement Plan, and support the community around climate adaptation, in particular preparing them for greater extreme weather events like heat and flooding. 3, under page 179 of the agenda, under strategic objective 4, a green city committed to a sustainable future, we should change priority 5, support local business and industries to enhance resilience to climate change and accelerate transition to a net zero economy, to include residents, so support residents, local business and industry to enhance resilience to climate change and accelerate transition to a net zero economy, and ensure we change the accompanying action to include residents as well. Under strategic objective 4, a green city committed to a sustainable future, add an additional priority, work towards a circular economy, and add action under it, developing a new waste management strategy over the next 12 months. And under strategic objective 2, a city that respects and celebrates diversity, our history and the arts, we should change priority 5, improve access and use of council's arts, culture and community facilities to support improved community connection, participation and lifelong learning, to improve affordable access and use of council's arts, culture and community facilities to support improved community connection, participation and lifelong learning, and amend the accompanying actions to include affordable access.
Thank you, Councillor Doe. I have to ask the mover and seconder, do they support this amendment? Councillor O'Reilly? Councillor Formoso?
Absolutely not.
Councillor Doe has moved an amendment as a mover. Do we have a seconder for Councillor Doe's amendment? Second by Councillor Garrard. Do we have any questions regarding the amendment? Do we have any opposition regarding the amendment? Opposition, Councillor O'Reilly. Councillor Doe, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. In 2016, Council launched a bold and visionary sustainability strategy committing to becoming one of the most sustainable cities by 2030. 4 years later, in 2020, Council declared a climate and ecological emergency, and later that year launched its incredibly detailed and considered climate emergency strategy and action plan, a roadmap that was grounded in science, community values, and a shared sense of responsibility. It is therefore not only reasonable but essential that our annual plan continues to reflect and build upon these commitments that we as a council have already made. To do so otherwise would be to risk undermining the trust and momentum we have worked so hard to build. Residents, advocates and local groups have engaged with our community consultation process, offering thoughtful, passionate and constructive feedback, and their voices deserve to be heard and not just sidelined. We already have the Greater Dandenong Green Wedge Management Plan. I am asking that we explicitly state that we continue to implement this plan to protect our precious green wedge. We already have the Greater Dandenong Climate Change Mobilisation Engagement Plan drafted, so why not finalise it? I think supporting our community around climate adaptation is a requirement, not just a nice to have. Heat waves, floods and storm events are not just one-offs. They are happening more frequently and more severely, and we need to support our community to prepare them for this. In our council plan, we have already stated that we want to support local business and industry to enhance resilience to climate change and accelerate transition to net zero economy. Our residents should be included in this priority. Our 5-year waste management strategy is 5 years out of date, expiring in 2020, and is currently not aligned to the state government's circular economy policy. We have been briefed in our council briefing sessions, and I also believe residents and groups have been told that we will develop a new waste management strategy within the next 12 months. So we need to have this on record so that we can and will update this. The reason why I've also included the expanded the improvement of access and use of council's arts, culture and community facilities to explicitly include affordability is because we need affordable access. We have these really fantastic and state-of-the-art community facilities, and they should be made affordable to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doe. Councillor Garrard as seconder.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to congratulate Councillor Doe on this amendment. She points out to important omissions that should be in the council plan, and she also identifies that we are very good at starting plans. We are less good at the implementation and about the actions that are required to complete the plans. So Councillor Doe has identified important gaps that really will strengthen the plan, and many of those gaps are particularly around sustainability and the environment. And we know that from the deliberative process that was a very, very strong, strong area that the community supported. And so what Councillor Doe has done is actually provide us with the detail and the actions and implementation that is required to make sure that we actually deliver on the plans that we have identified. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. In opposition, Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, heard a lot of detail regarding the amendment, Mayor, and I say, Mayor, that I'm not in a position to judge the merits of the raft of changes that have just been put out, and say that most councillors aren't in a position to actually weigh up what the changes mean. And the reason for that, Mayor, is that we've only been informed of these changes quite recently. I think received an email about 1.5 hours before the start of tonight's meeting, and I mean, it's obvious that there are multiple changes with potential multiple impacts. It would be highly irresponsible of this council just to wave changes through without considering the impacts, both good and bad, and potential resource implication. So this whole process, the number of documents that have been brought to the council meeting have taken months of work, including community consultation, to produce and to then change it based on information we've received in the last hour, would be highly irresponsible. So I cannot speak for or against the actual substantive arguments that have been put forward, but what I can say is that this council, if this council makes decisions, changes in the 11th hour, then we're exposing ourselves to a high amount of risk. And so happy to listen to the arguments of Councillor Doe in due course, but certainly not at tonight's meeting. And I'd encourage all councillors, if you don't understand the changes, don't vote for the changes. And that's what I will be doing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Is there any further speakers, councillors?
Yes, thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Formosa.
Thanks for that, Mayor. I understand that Councillor Doe is very new on council, and I appreciate and respect that. However, this is a very complex piece of work and a very extensive community engagement project that we've been doing for a substantial amount of time. You know, talking about details like this and implementing these kinds of changes could have been added months ago, to be quite fair. I absolutely will not be supporting policy on the run. I'm extremely proud and honoured to be a part of a council that has produced such an incredible council plan, particularly through the extensive community engagement, which is what we urge this council to do. All of the factors have been addressed and continued to be addressed. All voices have been heard. Unlike Councillor Doe's observations, we actually just saw the video of the incredible community engagement, and residents have been heard. That is absolutely the point. So I am quietly confident that everything to do with our residents, supporting residents with climate adaptation is already in the plan. Waste strategy has been a huge conversation that we've been having for several years here on council, well, during my time anyway, and it's a management strategy policy that we are implementing in the next 6 months. And as opposed to the Green Wedge management plan, 2020-2030 contains all the relevant policies and actions for protecting and enhancing the green wedge. So absolutely no need to be making these adaptations on the final hour. The policy as is solid, and I will be supporting it as it is. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Formosa. Are there any further speakers? Right of reply, Councillor Doe.
Thank you so much, Councillor O'Reilly and Councillor Formosa, for your objection. So I would like to note that even in our previous feedback consultation process with Council, I have previously sent my comments through regarding this policy, and we did have our Have Your Say consultation, where I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong. But in regards to the feedback that we received from the Greater Dandenong Environment Group and from many residents who have sent in individual responses, I believe that there was maybe one where we actually considered their reply and amended the plan. And with the rest, we had a bit of a default reply to say that we had already considered their notes, including that just noting that the Greater Dandenong Environment Group did send through a 10-page report on the suggested amendments regarding our sustainability and climate change, and their improved amendments on that one, which, again, correct me if I'm wrong, none of that was taken into edit or amendment in the council plan. So that is where I'm coming from in terms of when I say that we are sidelining these voices, because in the most recent consultation process, it is my belief and my standing that it is perhaps a bit of a superficial process where we say this is our final have your say. And when we do, encourage our residents to have their say, and they actually participate in that process and give their feedback, I think to say, yeah,
10 seconds.
Great.
I have 4 minutes. Sorry, I apologise. You have another 2 minutes. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So for me personally, that's where I disagree on that in terms of, all our voices have been heard. I just don't think it's I just don't think that's applicable in this scenario. So thank you for acknowledging, Councillor Formoso, that I am a new councillor. So there were some missteps in getting that that amendment out today, but I do appreciate for the rest of the councillors for your consideration on my amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Darwin. I do apologise for interrupting you there. I just got an old copy. Thank you for that. All councillors in favour of the amendment motion, please raise your hand. Councillor Garrard, Councillor Doe, all those against, Councillor Leck, Councillor O'Reilly, Mayor Mehmeti, Deputy Mayor Tan, Councillor Formoso and Councillor Dan. I've had two councillors didn't raise their hand.
Recording abstention
from Councillor Milkovich and abstention
I'd like to
from
also abstain.
Councillor Im. So the item is lost. 1, 2, 3. I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6, 2 or 4, and 6 against. So the item is lost. Councillors will go back to the original motion. Officer recommendation 2. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Reilly, thank you. Second by Councillor Formoso. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition...
I'd like to record abstention as well, Mayor. Thank you.
No opposition. The item is carried. Councillor Formoso.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually wanted to mention just how incredibly proud I am of this large body of work that has gone into these documents, and I would really, really like to congratulate officers for this. We had a specific goal when we first got elected. I know I did, and some of the councillors that I was elected with in 2020, and I really feel like that goal and those issues that we had raised back then have really been ticked. The council plan is the product of extensive community engagement, something that we have been urging for many, many years. First through a broad, inclusive series of activities where officers went out to community groups, clubs, pop-ups in our public spaces, English conversation classes in our libraries, and through many other interactions. I've personally been a part of some of these plans just as an observer to see what our community had to say, and it was really quite humbling to see the breadth of community members that were engaged in this process. They spoke to people still learning English, children and young people, as well as community leaders and elders. I also noticed that some of my ex-students were involved in this, so it's very, very humbling to see that we are really hearing the voices of our community, which is something we all desperately wanted to achieve. Then our deliberative panel took their input and crafted it into a careful report that represented diverse community interests and our city as a whole. Councillors have heard from members of the panel and the draft council plans to see now how it has been circulated for further comment, and as councillors we've also had the opportunity to contribute to the council plan, annual plan and budget for several months in fact. And it's been evolving beautifully with everyone's contributions. So sadly, Councillor Doe, if that had all come to the table a little bit sooner, perhaps that is something we could have addressed with the staff and the councillors as well. We had to make some tough decisions, obviously. It's tough times. We had to be realistic that we can't do everything, and especially not all at once. With our historic investments in the Dandenong Wellbeing Centre, we need to be balanced across our capital program and have a hard look at the long-term financial plan. And I think we've done that
10 seconds,
quite
Councillor
well.
Formoso.
Can I ask for an extension?
No, you can't have an extension.
I'm not going to get through it all. I think it's a really high, responsible set of documents. We're here for a 4-year term and we're making responsible, sustainable plans for this community. This budget, together with the long-term financial plan and other documents, represents a responsible approach, balanced approach.
Thank you, Councillor Formoso. Deputy Mayor Tan.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I just want to thank you to everyone who contributed to this council plan for the next 4 years, especially to the deliberative panel. This is the second time we've done through our consultations. So this is there's 2 phases of the consultations. The first one was starting in April to October 2024. We've got more than 3,000 participants, so a lot of residents and organisations, businesses involved that cooperate to this plan. So from that, the feedback for our council, mainly the concern about community connections, affordable housing, service awareness, asset revaluation, community safety and maintenance, assets and all that. So that will be corporate in our long-term plan. I also want to congratulate our financial corporate team, Ms. Michelle Hansen, for your great work. I know there's a lot of documents that we have to go read through, over 700 pages. I also acknowledge the cost of living that we're facing at the moment as well from residents. This is a huge organisation. We talk about more than 2.5 billion worth of assets. We've got 806 staff that we're looking after. So mainly because of due to the rate cap as well from state government, the cap that we can do only maximum 3%. But due to our method of evaluation, so we chose the capital improved values. So that means resident not gonna pay compared to 3%, it only pays 0.11%. So it's just put out there, and just want to congratulate that with your long-term financial plan and your 2025-26 budget, with this council getting a surplus of 25.8 million, and great to see the opening of the Keysborough South Community Hub coming along in September, and our construction of the Dandenong Oasis, which is worth 122.15 billion. Since I started with this council, it seems a lot of this council provide good quality of service and amazing facility for our residents. So I want to congratulate everyone involved in the consultation.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Deputy Mayor Tan. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to acknowledge the tremendous amount of work by officers that have created all of these documents and augur well for the future for Dandenong going forward. I would just like to point out that it's not all sunshine and roses. That in fact this may be the last budget that we actually break even, and that it does sound alarm bells in this budget that going forward in subsequent years we will for the first time be in an operational deficit, and that this is a consequence of many years of basically fixed income and in rising costs. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that that is where we're headed, and that really important decisions will be required going forward in terms of our spending and looking for new revenue streams. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I also congratulate our highly experienced Chief Financial Officer and team, overseeing the arduous production of the highly integrated financial plans that we have on the agenda tonight, balancing competing priorities and keeping calm while conditions get increasingly difficult for councils as councils' input costs rise and rate capping mitigates our ability to generate revenue to cover the increasing council input costs. So overall, look, on the budget of continued delivery, the budget of maintaining important services to our residents, and finally, it's a budget of empathy. So less than 1% average rate rise for residential ratepayers, mitigating the impact on their cost of living. Man, you could compare this several ways, but one of our neighbouring councils is Monash Council, that's known as a low rate council, and they're raising their rates by 3% or planning to, and we're doing less than a third of the increase that a lot of other councils are doing there. So I think Now, on balance, we would always like to do more, but I think we've got the balance right in that we're still delivering infrastructure, important services, but mitigating as much as possible rates on our residents. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. And just to add, actually, it's 0.11%. Our residential ratepayers have an increase for the 25-26 budget. Overall, we do have a 3% increase. Things are going to be tough. Things have been tough. Costing of living pressure, high interest rates, but hopefully things are going to change. But we, as a council, worked hard to making sure that our residential ratepayers will pay. They've never paid this low ever in the last 20 years that I've been on council, a rate increase of only 0.11%. Thank you to Ms Hanson and your team. You've done a fantastic job, and we really appreciate it. And councillors have done a fantastic job in making sure that we are one of the lowest councils that have had a rate increase for their residential ratepayers of only 0.11%. Thank you. Councillors, I'll move on to the next item, item 4.4, other. 4.3, policy and strategy. 4.3.1, fixed asset policy revised for adoption. Do I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Yim. Second by Deputy Mayor Tan. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. Item 4.3.2, Advocacy Action Plan, the year 2025 to 26. Moved by Councillor Garrard.
Seconded, Mayor.
Second by Deputy Mayor Tan. Are there any questions? Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. I acknowledge that in this advocacy plan, we will be employing a housing advocate officer, which is entirely correct, given that the City of Greater Dandenong has the highest level of homelessness in Victoria, and given that our house prices have risen by more than a third, and it now is more than 10 times the amount of the average wage to buy a house in Dandenong. My question is, can the relevant officer outline the expected outcomes of this role, please?
Ms Sajari.
Through you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Garrett, for the question. And you're right, this is a very high, important issue for us. So through this campaign, we are looking at the two aspects concurrently. One is that in collaboration with the other council, we'll look and advocate for some legislative changes and some regulatory changes, when one of the known one is, for instance, the very clear from state government about what's the affordable housing, what's the inclusionary zoning. These kind of the changes, it's effective and it's our benefit if it's done throughout the local councils, because we at the same time, we don't want to be the only council to post something, and we have to balance between the financial and the economy thriving at the same time, really catering for our community. So that is the one part of the housing that we're working, and at the moment we are working with the other councils to be the secretary of the housing charter for this year, which give us lots of voice and working through the campaign. The second part of this campaign is specific projects that we want for the City of Greater Dandenong, as Council remember, as part of the federal government advocacy, which we still advocating through our MPs, is around, for instance, how we can get more funding to really help with the building on using some of our car parks, and some kind of the testing on the project we are doing with MAV as a feasibility study to give us a specific project for the City of Greater Dandenong. So this is important that through this campaign, we really lead both of these. While we are looking at the regulatory changes, we also look at the specific projects that, which having the funding from the federal government on that we are working on MAV, it's one of the examples that give us more opportunity to test this.
Any further questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. We'll move on to item 4.4.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Councillor Dunn.
Yeah, just wanted to make a quick comment. I just firstly wanted to acknowledge the work done by the advocacy team, and I, of course, welcome the work and the allocation of resources to the housing advocacy campaign. I know Mr. Jari had just discussed that, and housing is not just a policy issue, but it's a human issue as well. And as Councillor Garrett mentioned, we have some of the highest rates of homelessness in all of metropolitan Melbourne. So I really welcome this change and this reprioritisation as well. Housing stress is a daily reality for many in my community. So this campaign is not just timely, I think it's essential. So I look forward to seeing what kind of accomplishments and achievements that the team will achieve going forward as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. We'll move on to item 4.4 other, 4.4.1, a name for the new community hub in Keysborough. Moved by Councillor Garrard, second by Councillor Doe. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? Was that a question, Councillor Doe? I'll leave it at, wait, you can do that at the end. Any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? If there is no opposition, the item is carried. Councillor Doe.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank all our residents here for contributing to the new name for our community hub located in Keysborough. I am so excited for the hub to finally, I believe the changeover for the Keys is happening in a week's time on the 30th. So that is just absolutely exciting to have that closed off. And soon our council will provide those dates for us, but we'll have our soft opening in hopefully a very few short months while we get our hub fitted out. But yes, just watch this space and just very excited. And thank you so much for all our officers for all their hard work on the project so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doe. Deputy Mayor Tan.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I just want to acknowledge and also thank the hard work that all our staff done for this project. Started since before I came to this council too. So now it's going to be Keysborough Community Hub. The project costs $29.5 million. So I just want to thank the state government as well for contribute $4.23 million toward this project. So I can't wait for it to open for next month.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tan. Yes, this has been on the cards for a long time. I remember back in 2014, we were searching for some land to build this Keysborough Community Hub, and we were looking around and we couldn't find some land. And all of a sudden, somebody said, "Why don't we just build it on with the land that council owns?" And that's how it all then began. And now it's come to fruition. It's fantastic. The community in Keysborough has grown, I think, to tens of thousands now. There's going to be 4 kindergartens, beautiful rooms there for maternal and health, and the beautiful community hub with kitchens and dining areas, but also the playgrounds. I think when we do open it, the community will be very, very impressed. And it does make a lot of sense to call it the Keysborough Community Hub, as it is in Keysborough. I know many people talk about Keysborough South. Keysborough South is only a ward, but this is in the suburb of Keysborough. And I congratulate the naming tonight, and I look forward to opening it up very soon to our community. Councillors, we'll move on to the next item. Item 4.4.2, update to the instrument of delegation to the Chief Executive Officer. Do I have a mover, councillors? Moved by Councillor O'Reilly. Do I have a seconder, councillors? Deputy Mayor Tan. Are there any questions? Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. Can the appropriate CEO or officer explain how the councillors will be informed about how the clarity regarding defined financial and contractual thresholds, even prior to the $1 million threshold that discretion the CEO has, which is an important is important to make sure that the council runs smoothly. But how will councillors be clear about how these financial and contractual thresholds will be defined leading up to the $1 million cap?
Ms Weatherill.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Garrard, for your question, and thanks for your interest in instrument of delegation. It's often seen as an administrative matter and not a lot of interest is paid to this issue. Certainly, what we're keen to do is ensure with the instrument of delegation that the CEO and all the officers have appropriate controls in place. And you would be well aware, Council's got an extensive number of controls in place using procurement. We have procurement policy that we have to abide by. Certainly, I'm required to meet the obligations of the budget and the long-term financial plan, and most of the items that we expend money on have already been approved by Council. And if the item is over $150,000, it's required to go through a panel process and be tendered, and that means that a number of officers have input into those things. We report on all our financial expenditure in the quarterly performance reports and in the annual performance reports as well. But I am more than happy, councillors, if you feel that you would like to have more transparency in regards to reporting, I'm happy to have further discussions with council.
Thank you, Ms Weatherill. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. My next question just relates to the exercising of emergency powers. Can the CEO outline how these triggers are defined, including sunset clauses, reporting obligations and retrospective council approval for actions taken?
Ms Weatherill.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard, and thank you through you, Mayor. So there are a set of principles and things in regards to emergency management. It depends what the kind of situation is. As we know from COVID, when, for example, a national emergency is called, as occurred in COVID, I actually was being instructed by the Victorian State Government in regards to emergency powers as the Chief Executive, and was required to undertake a whole range of activities. And there is an MAV information sheet about emergency powers for local government CEOs and on what occasions the council actually has some involvement with emergency powers and what times we get instructed by the state government. So that's really clearly defined, but I'm happy to brief the council further on that information sheet.
Thank you, Ms Weatherill.
My final question, Mayor, is just relating to reporting back to councillors. What is the mechanism for keeping councillors informed, including quarterly reporting back to councillors on decisions made? Excuse my voice.
Ms Weatherill.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Certainly, in my experience, I've always sought to keep the council informed, and that can be through emails as well as regular reporting through the quarterly reporting. And certainly, if we had an extensive amount of expenditure, would go within the finance report, etc. Are you referring to a specific type of reporting that you're seeking? Yeah, so that would be where we outline any decisions that are made. But I'm more than happy if there was ever any concerns for the council to amend that moving forward.
Thank you, Ms Weatherill. Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Any further questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. The item is carried. We'll move on to the next item, 4.4.3, Response to Notice of Motion number 2, Public Reporting of Customer Service Request Performance.
Councillor O'Reilly.
Councillor O'Reilly. I have a seconder, Councillor Yim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. I declare the item carried. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Matt. Well, this is quite a watershed, I think, Mayor, not just for this council, but this is setting a great example for other councils in terms of transparently showing the volume and quality of work that this council does in serving its residents. And I congratulate the Manager of Communications and Customer Experience for her enthusiasm and belief in the mission with what we were trying to achieve and has now been delivered. What it means, Mayor, is that anybody in the public can get a snapshot on the Greater Dandenong website of how we are tracking in terms of the top 5 categories of issues that are reported to us. And very importantly, Mayor, we're also tracking how much we are reporting back to those residents that have reported to us. And I think, Mayor, if every customer service organisation had this sort of system that we've introduced, we would be much better off overall. The number of times, Mayor, when you've probably reported different things to a service organisation and you never hear back from them. Well, this council, we're going to be upfront and we're going to have on that dashboard that we have reported back to whatever percentage it is to the people that have put the time in to put in a report through whichever mechanism. We're actually getting back to them. So I think it's a great initiative. It's up for everybody to see at, I think, greaterdandenong.com.au/dashboard. And I highly commend the whole thing, and thanks to everybody for their support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Councillor Garrard.
Mayor, I would like to acknowledge that Councillor O'Reilly has achieved a really outstanding thing here, as he said, and I'd really like to acknowledge that the staff has done a fantastic job on how visually simple and easy to understand the display dashboard is, and what a great innovation. And as Councillor O'Reilly said, let's have more of this going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Councillors, we'll move on to the next item, 4.4.4, South East Leisure Proprietary Limited, appointment of board members.
Happy to move that.
Councillor Milkovich,
Second that,
by
Mayor.
Councillor Formoso. Are there any questions? Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. Can the relevant officer confirm that given South East Leisure's core focus, that the skills matrix shows that, in fact, past and current and future directors have limited direct experience in the areas of community sport delivery, inclusive recreation, or leisure facility management? And if so, what will be done to address that gap going forward?
Ms Gillies.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you very much for the question, Councillor Garrard. So we've done a lot of work on the skills matrix and makeup of the board for South East Leisure, and hence the recommendation tonight. We've specifically appointed the chair to the board just last year, who has very specific and deliberate experience in terms of developments such as Dandenong Wellbeing Centre and what we're seeking to achieve there. So that was very deliberate. It's important that across the directors that all of the skills are met, not just the subject matter of the purpose of the business, but the other part of the recommendation tonight here, where we're not replacing that last position, is so that as the needs of the board change in terms of peaks and flows, that we can actually co-op specialist skills as needed. So we're actually giving ourselves the ability to flex in terms of different points in time, but we also, certainly the health and wellbeing and sport and leisure is really critical, but obviously as are the other skills that are made up across this board.
Thank you, Ms Gillies. Any further questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. I declare the item carried. Councillor Formoso.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, I'm heavily involved in the SEL board as the councillor representative, and I've seen it evolve from its inception to where we are now, and exciting times that we have ahead with the Wellbeing Centre and everything else, sport and rec. What I wanted to say is that I'm extremely impressed with Tim Cocaine and everything that he's brought to the table at South East Leisure up until now, and I'm sure that will extend over the next couple of years, particularly his business acumen. He's a local, he knows our community, he knows all things sport, so he's brought an immense amount of experience, knowledge, and also mentored me anytime I've requested that, so I highly appreciate and respect that. And obviously, Mr. Mick Jench, who we all know quite well during his time here on council, that extended with his time on the South East Leisure Board, which has come to an end, but I'd really like to congratulate him and thank him for his contributions to SEL up until this point and wish him all the very best in his future endeavours. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Formosa. Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to wish to echo the words of the Councillor Formosa and congratulate Tim Kincaid on reappointment as a non-executive director. His experience in running SCL is highly valuable, and we look forward to working with the SCL board in the future. And also I'd like to thank Mick Jench for his service as an SCL board member. He was also one of the ones that have helped us at the beginning with this. So thank you to both and congratulations to him again.
Thank you, Councillor Milkovich. We'll move on to the next item, councillors. 4.4.5, sale of 275 Lonzar Street.
Happy to move that, Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Formosa.
I'll second it.
By
Thank
Councillor
you.
Milkovich. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. I declare the item carried. Councillor Formosa.
Sorry, Mayor, just wanted to praise officers and our CEO once again, because this is something that we had set out to achieve as one of our goals. We said we need some more income to be able to reinvest into our community. We have asked a very comprehensive analysis of where we can sell particular assets. So just wanted to thank the team once again for doing this, because I'm sure with the difficult times ahead, this will be well spent in reinvesting back into our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Formosa. Move on to the next item, councillors. 4.4.6, reports on matters discussed at councillor briefing sessions and pre-council meetings.
Happy to move, Mayor.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Tan, second by Councillor Yim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. I declare the item carried. Item 4.4.7, list of registered correspondence to Mayor and Councillors. Moved by Councillor Garrard.
Happy to second that, Mayor.
Second by Councillor Formosa. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. I declare the item carried. 4.4.8, Multicultural and People Seeking Asylum Advisory Committee minutes, 13th of May and 29th of May 2025. Moved by Deputy Mayor Tan, second by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? There is no opposition. I declare the item carried. Item 5, notice of motion. There are none.
Mayor,
Reports from councillors, delegated members and councillor questions. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Not too much from me tonight, but just firstly I wanted to congratulate South East Leisure on their recent awards, the 2025 Aquatic and Recreation Victoria Awards. And I just want to thank all the staff that work at those facilities and for providing a safe and welcoming environment for everyone. And secondly, just wanted to also congratulate Sister Works for their fantastic Refugee Week celebration. I know there was a few of us there. It was a really fun celebration. It was very diverse, and I think it really showed the best of our community as well. So that's all from me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Councillor Doe.
Thank you, Mayor. So for the first time, I actually had the honour of attending the Vietnamese Museum Australia's 3rd annual Refugee Week Gala dinner, which also marked 50 years of Vietnamese settlement in Australia. It was well attended with Councillor Leh, our Mayor, Councillor Tan, and not here, Loy. Sorry, Councillor Schwab. And I'm just incredibly proud. And sorry, I forgot. Sorry, Councillor Yim also attended. So there are so many of us, I couldn't even keep track. So I'm just incredibly proud of what Vietnamese refugees and their children have achieved. I'm especially proud of my mother, like many residents in Greater Dandenong, who was forced to flee her homeland due to war, persecution or displacement. Their contributions, Vietnamese refugees to Australia have been profound and enduring. Like one of the speakers said that night, we are your teachers, we are your doctors, we are your lawyers, we are your shopkeepers, and absolutely. So I really wanted to, again, acknowledge the Vietnamese Museum Australia for hosting that event and for the fundraising efforts. I also had the pleasure, Councillor Dan, attending the Sister Works Refugee Week Spectacular celebration, and so many councillors attended throughout the day, and it was really fantastic to see such vibrant showcases of cultural performances, really diverse cuisines, and market stalls that really do reflect the richness of our multicultural community, and meeting, very enthusiastic organisations as well that we need to put more of a spotlight on because they are doing fantastic work. I also want to comment on this month's Eastern Transport Coalition meeting, which is, as always, really informative. This particular meeting reinforced the urgent need for better public transport options beyond rail, in particular buses. Currently, bus funding only increases with indexation, which is simply not enough, and many residents in Greater Dandenong will tell you we need more frequent services and expanded routes, and we are advocating strongly to make this happen. I'd also like to thank the ETC, all the members involved for introducing a really fantastic new initiative. We're actually opening up our meetings from the member councils to invite other staff and engineers from the included member councils to actually attend the meetings as both observers and contributors. I'd also like to give a special thank you to the departing council officers, Chris Hui from Whitehorse and Michael Blofield from Maroondah for their contribution to the ETC in their time there. I also wanted to really highlight our current public transport advocacy priorities that are available on our website. It is actually a really well thought out document, and I encourage our residents to have a read of it if they haven't already, and really encourage everyone to support community-led campaigns like Fixed Standee Buses, which is led by Peter Parker, because that actually allows us to really get those changes in terms of better public transport options. Another highlight last weekend was our Home 25 Invisible Cities, an absolutely powerful exhibition with the Mayor there at the launch, and inviting residents, and not only just residents but visitors, to explore the concept of home and how it shapes our identity, our belonging, our dislocation. So it's actually spread all across Dandenong, from Walker Street Gallery to the Drum to the Heritage Hill, and it's a self-guided tour that features works from refugee, asylum seeker, First Nations and migrant artists. So it's multi-sensory, it's interactive, it's here for just 14 weeks, and there's a mobile-friendly guide that you can use to take you on that tour. So alongside the Mayor, I was fortunate to attend this really well-attended launch, which concluded at our beautiful Heritage Hill Museum and Historic Gardens. Many attendees actually told me that they arrived at 2 p.m. just to stay for that launch, and they did not expect to stay for hours, captivated by, the stories that were told. For example, towards the very end, we sat on, these flat woven mats and listened to a really proud Palestinian artist who spoke so movingly of her home, her family, and the bittersweet moments and memories that they carry with them. It was only fitting that afterwards, a bunch of us actually made our way to the Drum Theatre to watch Bator, A Refugee Journey, which was a deeply moving documentary that actually had me crying multiple times during the film. And again, a lot of the folks that attended didn't even have plans to watch the film, but It's just one of those things where we have these amazing arts programs, and I just wanted to thank our officers and our teams for organising this. I had so much wonderful and positive feedback regarding it, and I truly believe it's one of those things that we do take for granted a little bit. We think, oh, we do okay. But talking to many residents, many visitors, they were absolutely astounded by the high number of attendees, but also the quality of our exhibition. And I just wanted to say that I do remain committed as a councillor to advocating for stronger sustainability measures and actions in council, both in the chambers and outside. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Doe, and thank you for your passion for the arts. It was great to share many of those events with you, so thank you for that. Councillor Milkovich.
As if I was falling asleep. Thank you, Mayor. Just one question for the officers tonight. I've had a couple of calls from residents and also who have also contacted Councillor Formosa in regards to changed parking arrangements on Brady Road directly opposite the shops. The parking that is directly opposite used to have a 1 hour parking restriction, but from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And that is now, with the recent changes on traffic flow and the reduction in speed and the traffic calming devices, is somehow been changed to 1 hour parking during the day, which greatly inconveniences not so much the visitors, but the actual shop owners and keepers there, where they've got absolutely nowhere to park but clog the street with cars. In noting that the parking was never an issue on that particular parking, there was always enough parking spots available for the visitors and shoppers to attend. So if I could please have a relevant officer look into that and get some sort of response as to why this was done and how we can revert this back to the old arrangement that actually worked. Thank you.
Mr. Manivesagasavam.
Through you, Mayor, I don't have all the details, but I'm happy to check with my traffic team and then provide you further response to that. Thank you.
Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lett.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Alice Kunlai, so I'm a councillor from Springvale Central. So actually, is some event I attend is from Saturday, 14th of June, Vietnamese Museum Australia, the third annual for the fundraising. That night includes some councillor here, so Mayor, me, and Do and Sophie. That night is so beautiful night, so they raising a lot of funding. So the other event is Sunday, 15th of June. Sister Work, they celebrate for Refugee Week, organized in Springvale Town Hall. It's really good organization. I love that. I wish for every single year. And Saturday, 21st of June, Refugee Week in Collingwood Town Hall from Vietnamese organization, from Australian Vietnamese Women Association to organize that event. It's so really good as well because they celebrate for the Refugee Week as well. And the other thing is just small thing is last Friday, 20th of June, me and Councillor Loi Chung and Councillor Son go into 55th Buckingham in Springvale. So we meet some business owner to talk about needle exchange for there. So we meet someone around there and we talk about what we will going on with that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. I attended the Rodriguez Social Club 30-year anniversary, and that club has quite a lot of people from Mauritius as well, so that was enjoyable. And for people that don't know, they have an office in North Springvale. So Greater Dandenong is the home of the office, if not all the members of the club. Also chaired a community meeting where the community expressed concerns about the collateral impacts of the needle and syringe program in Springvale, and in attendance were several community members, along with Eden, a good friend and former Greater Dandenong Councillor Eden Foster, MP for Mulgrave, and Paul Edbrook, MP, Parliamentary Secretary for Mental Health. So they listened to all of the concerns. They said a few words themselves, and they undertook to get back to us in due course. That's all I've got to report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Deputy Mayor Tan.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, firstly, I just want to report the events I attended to from the last council meeting. On the 13th of June, I attended the Aged Care and Disability Expo with yourself at the Springvale City Hall. This is the first expo that they held in Melbourne. Hopefully in the future, if they're going to hold anything in Greater Dandenong, hopefully council can support them to advertise as well. There were plenty of service providers stalls there, provided free coffee and popcorn as well. So hopefully there were a lot of people there because we left a bit early on that day. So it's great to see and to be part of the transformative events that celebrated inclusions and accessibility. On the 14th of June, I attended the Vietnamese Museum Australia's third annual Refugee Week Gala dinner and their commemoration 50 years of Vietnamese settlement in Australia. I just want to congratulate the Vietnamese community, especially with the museum, which is a great facility. So it started already mid-March, and that's the construction started mid-March. This is at the 119 Durham Road in Sunshine. With participation opening by late next year, so I wanted to see as well. Will be a great facility, especially to ensure the boat people legacy will be remembered for many generations. So congratulations to all the Vietnamese community. On the 15th of June, I attended the Refugee Week, which is hosted by the Sister Works, also supported by City of Greater Dandenong and the Victorian Multicultural Commission. This event celebrated the positive contribution made by the refugee to society. This year's theme of refugee is finding freedom, diversity in community, and it's encouraged participants to explore what it means to be free, to live without the fear of war, to live with basic human rights upheld, and to live in equality and without fear of persecution. So it's great to see so many people attended on that day, enjoyed performances, informative stall. There's many shoppings and foods and many dances as well. So it was one of the great events last 2 weeks. On the 16th of June, I attended the visit the Keysborough South, well, now Keysborough Community Hub. It's great to see this facility. It's a 5-star Green Star sustainable building. Will be open, like we all know, will be in September. So total cost now is 29.5, and also I just want to congratulate the state government as well for contributing 4.23 million. Just want to give a brief of what the hub involves as well. So the hub, it's including the community activities room, community meeting rooms, community lounge, there's kindergarten rooms, childcare rooms, consulting suite, which is maternity and childcare and health specialist services there. There's a very nice view of the receptions, high ceilings, floor and lights. So it's a great facility. I mean, from the outside, you can't really see much until you walk inside, you see this facility. That's, started since 2019. There's also community neighborhood playground, so that's 2 parts, one with the basketball as well, court, and there's another childcare facility, playground and landscaping. On the 18th of June, I attended the Gather in Graduate Refugee Week morning tea, which is hosted by the Catholic Care Victoria. This organisation also helps newly arrived refugee and asylum seeker in Victoria to navigate their new environments when they arrive here. They also teach English language and support in mental health, also find housing for them as well. So it's great to see so many resilient stories from the Catholic Care Centre clients. On the 21st, I attended the ISL Dandenong Cranbourne branch lunch honouring Iraqi interpreters. So these interpreters have been through a lot. They've been helping our Australian troops for many decades. Some of them have to sacrifice their lives and their loved ones. They not just translate language, but also supporting our veterans as well and play a wider role in building, supporting and inclusive communities, especially to Australia. Quick question, Mayor, through the relevant officer. I know the president of Noble Park Community Centre contacted me recently regarding to the meeting they had with our officer. Just want to find an update on what's going on with the Noble Park Community Centre disabled toilet. Do you have any update on that yet? Thanks.
So we recently met with the community group there, and also what we are working towards is their preference is the internal fit out. So we need to work through the details of that, and then we'll provide further update to the councillors and also the cost of that works in coming weeks. So then we can finalise it through the mid-year budget process.
Thank you, Mr. Manivasagasavan. Deputy Mayor Tan.
The solution, like temporary solution.
There is no temporary solution for that because the group is not looking for a temporary solutions. Their preference is a permanent solution, and they want the building number 2 internally fit out. That's their preference, and so we'll work through that details and what's the cost for the council, and then we'll have further discussion through that process.
Thank you, Mr. Manivasagasavan. Deputy Mayor Tan.
Mayor, also I just want just a statement. I've got a resident contacted me a few days ago, distressed about. I think we had a road work on Bloomfield in Keysborough, Bloomfield Road. So apparently their car been towed without even their permission. I'm not sure if they received a letter. They said they didn't receive anything from council. Just want to put it out there. So look, in the future, if council can contact all the residents before at least moving their cars without their permissions, so that'd be great. So at least like knock on the door or something to let them know, which is great. Thank you.
Ms. Gillies.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Tan. I'd really appreciate if you wanted to send that information through to me. It is a statutory matter, and we do have very clear guidelines in terms of notifications that we give people and then time between vehicles, for example, being towed and potential impoundment. So certainly I'd appreciate being sent the specific details and we can look into that for you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tan. Councillor Formoso.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll table the events that I've attended in the last couple of weeks. I just wanted to ask a few questions in my time limit. I had residents call me about Browns Road, Wren Drive roundabout modifications that are in the process of taking place. This is an issue and a matter that I've been raising for several years, advocating for. We eventually got the $450,000 black spot funding for this stretch of road because we obviously have issues considering that it's both a residential area and that there's a lot of trucks going through there due to the industrial zone. So it's a 50-50 split. So it's always difficult to find that balance. Now, there is a particular roundabout that's in question, and what has occurred in the last few years is we've had concrete bollards that are a buffer for particular residents at that roundabout, which we've noticed has serious damage towards those bollards, pretty much every couple of months. Now, officers did go out and meet with some of the residents last Monday, a consultation process that I knew nothing about, and in actual fact, the residents asked me to come and join this meeting. Unfortunately, I couldn't due to work commitments, but they were really perplexed as to why The works that are proposed are all good and well. However, there were 3 bollards in this particular, concrete bollards that were in this particular location, and one was damaged back in October by a heavy vehicle. Now, Council addressed this, removed that bollard, but then a few months later removed all of the bollards. So at this point right now, there's no protection for these corner houses, residents, pedestrians and so on. So we're just finding it really upsetting and distressing that we were given this $450,000 black spot funding to increase safety measures to ensure that we've got that good balance between trucks and residents that live in the area. But we're still really wondering why the remainder of the pillars have been removed, which could have been a really good safety measure in the interim until we find a solution. So the residents are extremely distressed by this. This has been going on since October. There's multiple merits that are involved. I know I've personally sent some myself. Wanted to know a couple of things. So the first thing is, what are we going to do to protect these residents now that we've removed these bollards? Second question is, does the $450,000 black spot funding that we received last year, is that included in some of these renovations that are going to take place, or is that simply the raised platforms that we've got implemented, which I don't feel contribute to $450,000, but hey, these things do cost a lot. So will this come out of council budget to do this replacement, or is there still funding in the black spot funding that's available for these repairs? And what are we going to do in the immediate future now to protect these residents that are at high risk of these heavy vehicles going through? And then the third question is, we already have a policy in place along that road where no heavy vehicles are allowed to travel along Browns Road from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. This is not being implemented. No one is enforcing it. Nothing's being done to ensure that these vehicles aren't travelling along Browns Road during the night. Can we get support from VicPol and the road authorities to find a way to measure this and possibly book any of the offenders? Please, Mayor, if the appropriate officer could respond.
Mr. Manivasagasevan.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, Mayor. So, few things to clarify. One of them is around installing concrete poles on the nature strips are illegal. Like, that's then that's put council liable for if something happens, and if somebody hits that concrete poles and injured, that's liable for council. And that's why all the designs on the roads, poles are when the vehicle hits, it normally breaks because of it's reduced the injury. But saying that, definitely we need to improve the safety of that roundabout, and that's why the traffic team are working with the residents, and also we'll look at how we can make sure that road is secure, and also we can look at how that we can reduce the impact of heavy vehicles going on that road as well. So that's we need to work through. The second point is around, I need to work with the teams to understand what we did with the Black Spot program and what are the details. So I'm happy to go through that with the team and then provide you further update on that. In relation to the enforcement, that's Road Authority. We can't enforce that one, but the VicPol needs to be enforcing that one. But we are happy to advocate that with the Vic Roads to enforce that restriction.
Thank you, Mr. Manivasagasevan. Councillor Formosa.
Thank you. And if I could ask you to write a letter of support in relation to that, Mayor, because it is a huge safety concern. You've got several schools there, residents, people using the cemetery as well on a daily basis, a high proportion of vehicles. So would really appreciate that support letter if you could, please. Speaking of road safety, I'm not sure if you're aware, Mayor, but yesterday we had a very serious accident on Heatherton Road near James Street, where a woman in her 50s was using a walker and was struck by a four-wheel drive and is now in critical condition. I'm extremely concerned about this stretch of road between Gladstone Road and Stud Road, particularly regarding the speed and dangerous driving behaviours in this area. I walk to work along this section daily. It includes a 40-kilometre school zone, and I've personally witnessed cars running red lights, excessive speeding and generally reckless driving, especially by heavy vehicles. And my biggest concern is the school zones. We've got several schools that are using that area on a daily basis, and in particular a specialist school there on Heatherton Road. It's extremely alarming to see that not only this incident, but over the weekend we had that father of two who was tragically killed on Heatherton Road, only a few kilometres up the road. And then just months before that, that 3-year-old child that lost her life at the same location. So I'm really pleading for immediate action. Mayor, you know how I feel about road safety, particularly in our community. And I would really appreciate you writing a letter to the Minister of the Roads, for roads to raise serious safety concerns that are taking place here. And in particular, if we can urge Dandenong VicPol to increase its patrols in this area, especially during those peak times, morning and after school, and even perhaps look at temporary CCTV cameras to see what the traffic is doing there along this stretch of road. We really desperately need to prioritise public safety on this road and take any action that we possibly can. Doing nothing is just not good enough. So if I can get you to do that. Thank you. Another wonderful public announcement I'd like to make on a happier note. Anne Pang is a very world-renowned martial arts expert. She has a local Dandenong Snap Fitness gym that her son runs here in Dandenong, just next to the, just in the plaza. And she's actually offering, starting July 26th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m, 7 weeks of free self-defense classes for women in our community. I mean, I've never heard of anyone doing that before in our community. She sees the needs. She's a migrant woman herself, had personal experience of being attacked due to her ethnicity, and vowed that she would never allow that to happen again. So she has become an absolute legend in martial arts here in Australia and abroad. So I would highly recommend any women that are thinking about some martial arts beginners class. It's for 7 weeks, absolutely free for our community, and I'd like to commend Anne and her family for doing this for our community and in particular for our women.
I did meet Anne at Sister Works actually, so she was recruiting a few
councillors. I did hear that Councillor Le and Deputy Mayor Sophie Tan have signed up, so I really hope to see you there, and that you didn't just sign up under pressure on the day, but I do see you there doing some training sessions. I'll be doing the second session after that. Thanks for that, Mayor. The final thing I wanted to mention regarding SEL once again, we were really fortunate that SEL won 3 awards at the recent Aquatic and Recreation Victoria Awards that were held on Friday, July 13th. The ARV Awards are the industry's peak celebration of excellence in the leisure and aquatic sector, with hundreds of nominations received from across the state. Noble Park Aquatic Centre was honoured with 2 awards, including Health Club of the Year and Facility of the Year. Medium, recognising the increase in facility memberships and high quality services. And then, of course, Springer's Leisure Centre's Inflatable World took home an Innovation Award and an initiative much loved by families and children in our community. So a huge congratulations to SEL, everybody involved, and, it's really nice when our groups and facilities get the recognition that they deserve. That's all from me. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Formoso. Councillor Yim.
Thank you, Mayor. On Saturday the 14th, I attended the Vietnamese Museum's 3rd Annual Refugee Gala Dinner, which also commemorated 50 years of Vietnamese settlement in Australia. I attended with Mayor Mamedi, Deputy Mayor Tan, Councillor Trung, Councillor Lair and Councillor Doe. It was a lovely night contributing further to the construction of the Vietnamese Museum. On Sunday the 15th, I attended the Sisterworks Refugee Celebration Week at Springvale Town Hall. I attended with yourself, Mayor, Deputy Mayor Tan and Councillor Lair. There were fantastic stalls from beautiful arts and crafts to delicious food. I myself bought a pair of beautiful earrings, which unfortunately I'm not wearing tonight, and plenty of empanadas. On Monday the 16th, I went to visit the Keysborough Community Hub and had an on-site tour with Deputy Mayor Tan and Councillor Milkovich. It was great to see the progress that has been made so far, and I'm very excited for its official opening later this year.
Thank you, Councillor Yim. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Doe and I had the privilege on Saturday night of meeting with some very courageous health professionals and support staff who are heading to Uganda. All of them come from Dandenong, and on Saturday night there was a very successful fundraiser at Afghan Mums. And we wish them well. We recognise the tremendous courage they're showing in heading to Uganda, and they will be providing life-saving surgeries and essential medical care to the people there. In addition, we were privileged to watch Batua, a refugee journey that was on at our Drum Theatre. And this is an award-winning film by one of our local residents, which is powerful and confronting and unique in that it provides a photo journey of the plight of a refugee who is fleeing a conflict zone like Afghanistan. It's very important film because it humanises refugees and asylum seekers who are often dehumanised in our media and not portrayed as people seeking safety, but in fact as opportunists that take our jobs and our homes. And it comes at a very timely moment, given the world events that you referred to earlier, Mayor, and where it shows that when powerful people decide to launch illegal wars, it is innocent people like Barat and many, many millions of others who pay the price and lose their country and their family, and for which you have personal experience as well. The unfolding attack on Iran will only add to the more than 132 million people forcibly displaced in the world right now, and shockingly, 1 in 6 children in the world right now who live or are fleeing from conflict zones. And this moment has been officially labelled as the worst time to be a child by UNICEF. So we have a shocking situation that is only going to get worse. And my thoughts are with our residents who are directly affected by this conflict, and including the conflict in which Palestinians continue to be slaughtered on a daily basis. As many of our residents in Dandenong are here because of conflict in their countries, there's a great empathy for those people experiencing that right now. My one question tonight relates to our residents who will very soon be receiving their rates notice and will be required to pay the Victorian Government Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund, which is much higher than the previous fire levy. My question is, will this also be subject to the Council's hardship policy, meaning will residents have the option of paying that levy off in the way with the provisions we have in our hardship policy?
Ms Hanson.
It's for you, Mayor. That's actually a very good question, and we will be bringing back the rates and hardship policy back to Council shortly, which will address that. It's actually under review. When Council issues or grants hardship, they're generally applied to Council rates, not the Fire Services Levy, or as it is now from 1 July, the Emergency Services Volunteer Fund.
Thank you, Ms Hanson. Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Councillors, I'll just report that Ms Weatherall and I had a meeting with the Shadow Local Government Minister, Bev MacArthur, who visited Greater Dandenong last week. We had a discussion on many, many topics, and it was good to meet the opposition leader of local government I also had a meeting with Ian Clark, who runs the Melbourne Cable Park, also with his leadership team. Ms. Wetherill and Mr. Manny Vasagasvam also joined me, and we had some discussions with Mr. Clark about further expansion at the Melbourne Cable Park and how his business goes through ups and downs, very busy in summer, very quiet in winter, and he's just looking at different opportunities. I also met with the Keysborough District Football Club, who are playing in the Football Federation of Victoria but own their own premises and are looking just to how they can engage with more kids in our community and looking at other opportunities as well. So it was nice to meet with them as well. Councillor Deputy Mayor Tan also joined me in opening the Aged and Disability Expo at the Springvale City Hall. There was many exhibitors at the Town Hall, and they had opened from 9 to 3, and I heard that many people from our community visited and got assistance from that. I also attended with most councillors the Vietnamese Museum, Australia's 3rd annual Refugee Week Gala Dinner, also commemorating 50 years of Vietnamese settlement in Australia. As we all know, the Vietnamese community in Greater Dandenong, I think, is up to about 17,000 people, and many of those people are people that have been living in our city for up to 50 years who had to unfortunately leave Vietnam. I also attended with many other councillors Sister Works Refugee Week celebration. What a wonderful event, and I couldn't agree with more with Council. They're saying we need to have that more often. It was lovely to see these women who have come from refugee backgrounds who are now entrepreneurial, opening up small businesses, making things with their own hands, heaps of stalls to choose from, and also the way that Sister Works had organised the day was fantastic, with many shows, the lion dancers and other Indonesian dancers and etc. Many other cultural events happened during the day, and I think we all thought we'd be there for an hour or two. We were there for 4 or 5 hours, so it was a really great event organised by Sister Works. On Friday the 20th was the World Refugee Day celebration. The theme for 2025 is Finding Freedom, Diversity in Community, encouraging us to reflect on what it means to be free, to live without the fear of war, to have basic human rights upheld, and to live in equality and without persecution. We had Muzaffar Ali, a former refugee and education advocate, joined us in Harmony Square as part of his 4,000-kilometre ride to support refugee and women's education, which was fantastic in Harmony Square. Muzaffar Ali, if people don't know what 4,000 kilometres is, like going from Melbourne to Sydney, back to Melbourne, back to Sydney and back to Melbourne. I've actually driven in a car just to Sydney and I'm exhausted after 10 hours driving in a car where I didn't have to pedal anything. So incredible human being, doing some great work in advocating for women's rights in education and also with refugees. I also attended the 2025 Caravan Industry Victoria Hall of Fame and Industry Awards dinner. Jerry Ryan, our very own Jerry Ryan, who owns Jayco Caravans, was inducted. He personally has been inducted in the Hall of Fame, but for the first time ever, Jayco Corporation was inducted to the Hall of Fame. Jayco established his business in 1975 right here in Springvale and has moved a few times around Greater Dandenong, but is based now in Dandenong Frankston Road in Dandenong. Jayco employs over 1,000 people, built over 270,000 caravans, and I'm hoping that Jerry will accept an invitation to council to come and visit us and maybe talk about his experiences over the last 50 years. And I know Jerry's a very passionate person who cares a lot for his community and looks after his staff. I've actually walked the floor with Jerry at Jayco, and he just, goes past all the workers. He knows all their names, and he says, "How are you, Sarah? How are you, Johnny? How's Smith? How's little Johnny going?" and etc. And he's a very caring and passionate person and loves our multicultural community and always asks me whenever I see him, "How is the community? How's everything going? Do you need anything from me?" So looking forward to catching up with Jerry, and hopefully he accepts our invitation and we can sort of celebrate 50 years of making caravans right here in Greater Dandenong. As Councillor Doe touched on, the exhibition opening of Homes 25 Invisible Cities. What a fantastic event. Spread right across Greater Dandenong. You'll see these arts. We've got some in Harmony Square if you look outside when you leave. But great effort's gone into it. Our staff have done a lot of work to work with different people in our community, and I congratulate them and wish them well. And there's actually a booklet made, a hard copy booklet, teaches you or tells you where to go and find these installations, but hopefully that we'll get it online soon, and people who can't get the booklet can read it online, and hopefully they can experience the visit in Dandenong for the Homes 25. I also attended a book launch, Bouncing Back, Tales from a Passionately Lived Life, written by our local author, Peter Jerigan. What a remarkable man. We attended with Councillor Garrard on Saturday night. I said to him this was only my second book launch I've been to. I normally attend many other functions, whether it be Eid or Easter functions or Christmas functions or opening of buildings, but only my second time to a book launch. And he's had a really great lived life, great experience, lived in many countries, South Korea, London, Lebanon, Australia. So it was great to hear from him and help him launch his book. I also attended the Refugee Week celebration hosted by the Victorian Afghan Association Network, who do remarkable work in the southeast, and they were actually fundraising for Muzaffar Ali, and I hope they did raise a lot of money because it's going to go for a great cause. I also attended the Monash Health and Foundation Buddhist Flower Ceremony hosted by the Cambodian community in Victoria, by our very own friend, former Deputy Mayor Richard Lim, OAM JP. The Cambodian community are very generous. This is, I think it was the 10th time that they've held this event, and there was a lot of people from Monash Health, and they raised a lot of money. And I was speaking to the CEO, Eugene, and I asked him, how many people does Monash Health employ? He told me 26,000 people. So it's a huge amount of people that look after our community, and we have Monash Health here in Dandenong as well, which was rated pretty well only a few months ago. So I told him thank you for all the work that they do at Monash Dandenong, where many of our residents visit. And today I met with Miss Weatherall. I had a meeting with the Dandenong City Soccer Club, talked some future plans, and they're going really well. They've got over 500 kids playing. They always have once a year a big tournament where they have, I think, 90 female teams. Hundreds and hundreds of females come to this big event, and they're looking forward to building a bigger and better and more welcoming football club. And that's all from me. And Mrs. Weatherall?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a quick comment. Councillor Doe just reminded me a number of councillors have raised the issue about removal of post office boxes across across the city, and certainly a number of councillors have raised the Springvale Post Office. I have now got a meeting for you and I, Mayor, with the representatives from Australia Post, so we'll certainly continue to advocate in regards to this matter and highlight the concerns raised by councillors, and I will report back to council at a future meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Weatherall, and you've got some questions that were taken on notice at the last council meeting table. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Weatherall. Item 7, urgent business. No urgent business. Item 8, close of business. I declare the meeting closed at 9:12 p.m. Thank you for your attendance and have a great evening.